Hello, hello. This is JilliBling with project number 4. This is a great bundle, Eden's Garden, and I'm so happy you purchased it. What do you think about this one? Isn't it pretty? So, it's using Eden's Garden, and I think no other stamps other than what's in here, and Tasteful Label dies and Eden Dies Eden is what they're called. And the Tasteful Labels is only for this piece right here. And the rest of it is done with the Eden dies that you get in your bundle. So, here are the pieces that you'll get in your kit. Yours won't have cuts in them like that, but that's okay. So, let's fold this in half. Oh, and the pieces, if you can, have them pre-done. There's 9 pieces, and they are this white frame. This is 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 of each. 2 of the succulent, 2 of the evergreen, and 2 of the gold. And you can see that's what I cut these out of. There's just little pieces in the kit, in the box. And so 1, 7, 8, and 9. So stamp this first, then cut it out. And for all the gold pieces, I took them right out of this paper that will become this right here. Okay, so now that your 9 pieces are done, let's get to making this project. And these dies, I'm looking at this one and I just see a couple little pieces that need to be punched out. These dies, I don't know what they did a little bit different, but they don't get jammed, your paper doesn't get jammed up in the die, and it all releases really easy. I really appreciate that. I'm not sure how they could change it like that, but I like it. Good, good. Okay. These look like they're all done. Okay, so back to where we were. Paper base. This time I'm going to try to do it landscape rather than portrait, because you know how I always like to change it a little bit. This piece, these pieces are for, the white one is for this frame die. The soft succulent is for this round, but do your stamping and your heat embossing first. Then you'll know how to center this die. And this gets cut out of the gold paper, the banner. And then this one little leaf right here, you have to run through 6 times. When I was doing it, it's like, this is a pain in the butt. But then when it came to putting it together, I forgot about it being a pain in the butt. I'm just happy it's done. Okay, so paper base, and then next is these pieces, then this one, and then this is inside. That's kind of all that's to it. So I found, I like to think is an easy way to attach it. You know how I'm more and more a fan of liquid glue. Ooh, that's pretty paper. If you just put a zigzag right there, and then you know you definitely want it to hang on to the edges, so I'm putting some right here. Then maybe in a little bit further. If I go too far, that's okay. The next panel will cover it. Then I'll just put this right here and there. I'm making sure it lines up. Because the glue is still wet, I could still move it. It looks like it needs to be down a little bit further, and it just slid right into place. And I do have a little extra here, which I'll trim off with my scissors in just a minute. But that one is in place just like that. So let's repeat the process right over here. And I'm going to focus on this corner first. Good. And then I'm going to focus on this corner up here. Good. And I'm looking at the bottom. And no, I don't really care what that looks like because it's going to be covered up, and then I'm going to trim off this little, that's such a tiny amount. You probably don't even have to trim it off if you don't want to. Okay, if your paper is like this, you're about to put it on, wait a minute. You have to cut your beautifulness out of there. So it looks like this. But look, it's covered up. So, adhesive, mostly just around the edges. On the first card I did, I put it all over. But because there's holes in the gold foil paper, my fingers were getting all gluey. There's no need to do that. So I'll just set it in place right here on the left side, and then I'll adjust it. Once again, because it's glue, I could move it around if needed. And I'm looking at how much is showing here and how much is showing there. That's good. So now it's going to go onto here. And when you're doing this paper, attaching it, particularly if you're going portrait, the paper does have a little bit of a pattern to it, because see how the succulent leaves are pointing up? Most of the gold ones they're going every direction. But it seems like the succulent pieces are starting here, going up. Start here, go up. Therefore, I think that this is the top and this is the bottom. But the paper is so beautiful that I'm going to try this one on the side. I don't know that it would matter. So when you go to put this on, at first I was like, well, how do I know that it's centered? So I'm pulling it a little bit off to the side. See how much is here? I'm going to have about a 1/4 inch gap. So I just have an about idea. If it isn't perfect, I'm okay with that, just so it's somewhat close. Then I'm looking at this amount, this, that. To me, they're close enough to work. If it isn't exactly perfect, that's okay, because once I start decorating it, you won't notice it if it's a 1/16 of an inch off. Okay, so I have the whole card front almost assembled, but I'm going to take a minute and trim. See this right here? That white edge where the designer paper is just a little bit longer than the soft succulent paper. And I'll do it with the scissors. My little snips, and I hope you all have little snips. They are really good. Just in general, for a pair of everyday crafting scissors, they're good. But if you have to cut anything, that tiny little tip, lovely. Okay, so these are inside pieces. Okay, so let's decorate the outside. There's this one, and I want this one to be going landscape. So when I set it up to display, it'll be like that. Leaves. You know I'm going to try to do it different than the first one. I don't know how it's going to be. Probably should have a plan first, but I could always revert and do it right back how the first one was done. But I want to try to change it up. Okay, this one, the words are kind of off-centered. So how about that? This one maybe could be more centered. All these cards seem to be a little busy. Just can't help it. It's the paper. I like it though. And gold. Maybe tucked underneath. Gold could be right about there, but tucked underneath. And then just opposite for this. I wonder how this would look right on the banner. It's kind of fun. Maybe just these two pieces here. Okay, I'm going to go with it. Okay, so to assemble, this white frame is going to be stuck down with liquid glue. And when sticking the frame down, you don't have to take the time to glue every little bit of the frame, just periodically little dots. See how I'm doing that? And it's okay if part of it sticks up because it's kind of ornate. Just pretend like you planned it. So this will go right in the middle. Okay, and then next will be the banner. And I'm going to do that just with liquid glue again. And I'll pop up the words. If I put dimensionals on everything, it ends up being kind of a pyramid, bigger and bigger and bigger. It makes it hard to mail. So I try to choose just one thing to pop up. Doesn't always work like that. Sometimes I turn around and put dimensionals on the inside. I like dimensionals. Okay, so we'll use the glue for the leaves in just a minute, but I will put dimensionals on here. And when putting the dimensionals on your words, just use 3 dimensionals all right in the middle. There's a reason for that. I'm going to put this right in the middle. The reason for that is now I'm going to stick these leaves in. And if I dimensionals all the way out to the edge, I wouldn't be able to tuck this underneath. So I'm going to put glue on the bottom 2 leaves and the stem. Take a mini dimensional, put it on the end 2 leaves, and that one's ready to go. And if you happen to run into a dimensional underneath your words, you might just need to trim off part of the stem, which is fine. It won't be seen, so you could do that. Okay, and then the same process with all of these leaves. I think I'm going to put the succulent leaves on first so that the gold leaves can somewhat go over the top. Because I want the gold to be seen. It's very pretty. Oh, I didn't put my dimensional on there, on the end. So if ever you do that, here's a dimensional, no papers on it. I'm going to stick the dimensional, maybe, to my snip's tip. So see how the dimensional is there? Lift up where I think it needs to go. Set it in place. Kind of smush it down. Just helps rather than trying to shove it under there, which doesn't always work. Okay, and our last leaf for the front. And like with all these projects, I don't have the bling yet, but I will bling it for the final pictures. And when you get your supplies, you can bling it however you like, wherever you like. Okay, so for the inside, which are these papers here, here's the inside, and I like just the greenery. There's no heat embossing on this other than the white. So for the greenery, I'm going to use soft succulent and evening evergreen. And the words, sending hugs, how about Dear friend, how are you? Or hello there. I haven't put that on the inside. I'm indecisive. I don't think you could do wrong. So I'm choosing the darker of the greens, which is Evening Evergreen. Test it. Looks good. Okay, now I'm ready to stamp it. So when you're stamping, and you're trying to line it up, if you go way up to the top of your paper, and if it's crooked, it will look crooked. If you drop it down just a little bit, and if it's crooked, it doesn't look as obviously crooked as it is. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start with a larger one. Now put this into Succulent. And I'm fine if I get it on the evergreen paper, because I could just flip it over. But for right now, it's really nice to have the evergreen paper underneath the white paper, because I can easily see the perimeter of that paper. Doing white on white is fine, but sometimes it's hard to see. I want to do Succulent first. I'll do this one. I've got it in my hand. This one, evergreen. And you could do any color combo you like. Just because I did it this week doesn't mean you need to. On the sample card right here, can you see that? See the words up there? Because I put the leaves over the top of some of them, it makes it a little bit hard to read the words. So I'd suggest keeping the greenery away from the words. And here's this one. This one I think is just okay. I like a lot of the other ones more, but that's fine. Variety is good. Maybe I'll do just one of those. Oh, I might need to do more. But this little one right here might be my favorite. No, I like lots of them. It's not my favorite. Maybe it is my favorite. They're all my favorite. It doesn't matter. It's all just pretty. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that because the first one I did too much. Wow, I think that's it. So let's assemble this one. Yep, adhesive on this side because I see little bits of ink. Last time I did it on the wrong side. I hear bow. Okay, there it is. Here's the two projects. Project number 4. Look at that. Eden's Garden. Very lovely. Very pretty. Very beautiful. Okay, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And until project number 5, which will probably be tomorrow, I hope you have a great day. Bye.